getting recorded. Fine. So let's start with the session. In the last class, I gave you the introduction about percentages, right? Last class, हम percentages का introduction हम देख रहे थे, and we solved some of the related questions related to LCM, HCF, and cyclicity and divisibility. All those things we have covered the basics. Now today we'll move forward and try to understand the important part of percentages. ये चीज हमने last time देख ली थी. Percentage means to find out the proportion in terms of 100. So if it is 5 out of 20, then what it will be out of 100. Why it is used? It is being used to compare multiple digits. So let's say two students are giving two different exams. One exam is out of 40, the second exam is out of 80. So if I compare their numbers, I cannot actually compare them because the total marks, the total numbers, they are different. ठीक है, तो उस केस में हम उसको कंपेयर नहीं कर सकते हैं. So in that case, what we do is we find out a common reference with the help of which we can compare. So we find out the percentage of marks, right? And then we can compare it. So this is why percentage is being used. Now percentage, when we talk about percentage, percentage is closely related to ratio and proportions. परसेंटेज एक ऐसा टॉपिक है जो रेशियो एंड प्रोपोर्शन के साथ काफी ज्यादा क्लोजली रिलेटेड है. सो व्हेनेवर वी टॉक अबाउट रेशियो एंड प्रोपोर्शन, it is equivalent to percentage, and whenever we are talking about percentages, it is equivalent to ratio and proportion. So in the last class basically we started by converting this percentages, जो percentage हमने देखे थे, इसको हमने convert करने की कोशिश की थी in terms of fractions. fractions के फॉर्म में हमने इसको convert करने की कोशिश की थी, and some standard percentages उनकी मैंने बात की थी यहाँ पर, as you can see over here. So अगर 1 है ratio, so it is equivalent to 100%, और अगर आपको 100% दिया हुआ तो it equals to 1, right? If it is 50%, then it is equal to 1/2. So ऐसे हमने standard percentages देखे थे, and then we solved a little bit of numbers over here जो हमने quick practice and for remembering this kind of percentages हमने किए थे. Now today I'll give you some of the shortcut formulas which we can use over here while finding out the questions or solving the questions related to percentages. Right, so we'll start with the standard proportion of to increase a number by a given percentage. Just 1 minute. So let's talk about to increase a number by a given percentage. Right. So in order to increase, let's assume the numbers. Let's say number x is increased by y%. If x is increased by y%, then simply what we are going to do is x is going to be increased by, it has to be enhanced by y% of x, right? So this can be y% of x. This can be written like this. Further, if you solve this in the short form, it can be given as x plus y by 100 times x, right? This becomes 100x plus y by 100. So what I'll do is I'll take an LCM over here. यहाँ पर मैं एक LCM ले लेता हूँ. So if I take the LCM, it will become 100x plus y divided by 100 y times x, right? And यहाँ से I can take x common since it appears in both the numbers, right? So simply it will become x times 100 plus y by 100. So if a number is increased by let's say y%, so simply you can find out the number in using this formula. You might think कि ये तो बहुत complicated है, right? It is not as complicated it looks like, right? We can use it simply. Let's take an example to understand this. Let's say there is a number which is 500, right? So a number 500, it is increased by let's say 20%. So over here, what I can do is I can simply use this formula, right? So now x becomes 500 and it is increased by 100 plus 20 by 100. That is 500 multiplied by, it becomes 120 by 100. Yes, if you solve this, what will be the answer?
600.
Simply, it will be 600. 0 will cancel out. 112 into 5 is 60, and there will be another 0. So 600 will be your final answer. Right. So directly you can find out how much by how much percentage if we are increasing a number. So how the quantity is actually increased. Similarly, there are also another things like what happens when we decrease a number. Right. So let's say to decrease a number by given percentage. Let's say x is decreased by y%. So the same thing will happen over here. We'll have x minus y%. I'm not going to derive the entire expression, but I'll write down the final answer. It will become x times 100 minus y divided by 100. Right. So in this case, it won't be plus, it will be minus. Right. So this will be your final expression. Let's take another case. Now, if I need to find out increase in percentage, to find percent increase in a number. Now, why it is useful, right? Where we are going to use this? Do you think this kind of questions are asked in? If you think this kind of questions are being asked in GATE directly, no. ऐसा कोई भी क्वेश्चन डायरेक्टली गेट के अंदर नहीं आएगा. I'll make it very clear over here. Then you can ask me, sir, ऐसा पढ़ने की जरूरत क्या है जब आने नहीं वाला. This kind of question comes in the form of data interpretation. This is one of the favorite topic of GATE people. They ask this kind of questions जहाँ पर वो आपको टेबल दे देंगे. They will give you a pie chart, a table, a data in the form of table, a graph, and वहां से आपको this kind of question will be asked, like what was the percentage increase in this number of sales or something from 2009 to 2010. Right. So in this case, let's say you want to find out the percentage increase in a number, कि कितना percent increase हुआ है. So how you can find this? You can simply find this using let's say here I'll assume some of the things. Let's say initial number is a, and then it becomes b. So the number is getting increased in such a way that b is greater than a. So the increase will be given as b minus a. So over here I need to find out percentage increase. So percentage increase. So increase हो रहा है, in that case I'll subtract b minus a. This is the increase. Over here, the reference point to find out the percentage increase will be your initial number always. So you'll get b minus a into 100. That b minus a into 100. So this will be your percentage increase. Right. Similarly, you can also find out to find percent decrease in a number. So how much percentage is decreased, that you can simply find out as, let's say, initial number was a and it became b. So initial was a, it became b in such a way that it was decreased. So over here in this case, a was greater than b. Now if you want to find out percentage decrease, that will be a minus b, because this will be a positive number, a is bigger than b. The reference point in this case also is your initial number. Always initial number is taken as your reference while finding out percentage increase and decrease. This is an important thing to understand and remember, because यहाँ पर common mistake हो जाती है that we don't identify कि किसके reference में increase निकालना. right? So that you need to remember, right? So these are the basic formulas that we need to find out. Let's say let's see one or two questions out of it. So what is percent increase when 200 is increased to 225? So that is the first question you need to solve. And percentage increase in fuel prices when the price is this is the second question you need to solve. So I'm supposed to find out the percentage increase in both the cases.
So first में 12.5%, then
Sir,
second में
first में
50.
12.5 और second में 50.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Right. So how do you find percentage increase? That is, first of all, I'll find out increase 225 minus 20, the difference. So 200. And in here, in this case, the reference will be 200, the initial number, into 100. This will become 25 by 200 into 100. In simple words, it will become 12.5 percentage. Right. Over here, if I want to find out percentage increase, see, I'll take the mod over here. जो भी आना चाहिए, answer should be positive. Right. So 120 minus 80, the reference will become your 80, the initial number, into 100. So it will become 40 into 100 by 80, which if you solve, 40 will get cancelled by 80. So it will become 1 by 2, and 100 by 2 is 50. So this will be a 50. This will be a final answer, and this will be a final answer. Right. So this was simple examples related to percentages. Now let's look into the next topic, which is again an important one. And इस topic का use हम end तक करेंगे, and till we will understand the entire, you can say, this quantitative aptitude. जब तक हमारा क्वांट खत्म नहीं होगा, तब तक हम रेशियो एंड प्रोपोर्शन की बात बहुत बार करेंगे. रेशियो एंड प्रोपोर्शन, इसमें भी अगर मैं रेशियोज की बात करूँ तो रेशियोज हमारा बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. Right. What do you mean by ratio? Ratio is showing you the portion of no a whole thing, a portion of a thing. So let's say there is a pizza. अगर इस pizza के मैं I'll do 8 pieces. Right. So if I give you only one piece, so what I am doing is I am giving you one piece out of the 8 pieces. Right. और basically अगर मैं इसको as a whole मान के चलो, एक pizza मान के चलो, so I am giving 1/8 of the pizza to you. Only 1/8 of the pizza. Right. So देखो दो तरीके से हमने इसको समझा. At first was out of the 8 pieces I have given you one piece. और अगर मैं as a whole एक single number मान के चल रहा हूँ, so out of the whole pizza I have given you 1/8 of the pizza. That is what ratio is. Ratio is given as x by y, or in some case x is to y. Right. ऐसे हम इसको represent करते हैं. It is usually represented in the form of fraction. Right. The important things about ratios that you need to remember is, the first of all, ratios are calculated between same kind of things. Same kind of quantities. What I mean to say is, जैसे मैंने आपको बोला, so it was one piece of pizza over 8 pieces of pizza. So we are talking about pizza. I cannot compare the ratios of rupees and pizza, right? So if I calculate the ratio of rupees and pizza, that particular thing is not possible. It is only between rupees and rupees, which is possible. So ये बहुत बार एक चीज हो जाती है जहां पर हमें समझना होता है that when we are trying to find out ratio, it has to be between the same kind of quantities, the same thing. जिनकी unit same होनी चाहिए. Now, if you are finding it between the same kind of quantities, the unit get cancelled, so it is a dimensionless quantity. Ratios are dimensionless quantity. You don't give dimensions to ratios. Now, there is one more thing. Yes, ratio is unchanged. Ratio is unchanged when the numerator and denominator. Ratio is unchanged when numerator and denominator is multiplied by the same number. Now this is some basic thing that you might already be knowing. So मेरा बताने का वैसे तो मतलब नहीं बनता, but yes, since we are starting it, we will complete it from the scratch. Okay, so ratio is unchanged if I multiply the numerator and denominator by same number. So what I mean to say is the ratio of 2 by 3, it is equivalent to 4 by 6, it is equivalent to 6 by 9. Right, so these ratios are equal. Now next thing is about geometric mean, जो मैंने हमसे पहले पढ़ चुके हैं. So we'll talk about it again in
Sir, can you put last slide?
sure.
Yes, sir.
Now geometric mean. So geometric mean के बारे में हमने इससे पहले बात की थी वैसे तो. But yes, what do we mean by geometric mean? Let's try to understand. Geometric mean is a number in which we'll try to find out the value of b such that a raised to b is equals to b raised to c, or b is a geometric mean which is equal to, which becomes under root of ac. Right, so b is the number which is the geometric mean जो हम find करने की कोशिश करते थे. So in the last class and last to last class when we talked about the arithmetic, geometric and harmonic mean, तो geometric mean हमारे पास यहाँ से आता है. Right, now let's talk about proportions as well. So there are certain things or properties related to proportions that we need to understand, and we'll be using it whenever required. The first and foremost is inverted. What does it mean? If I have a by b ratio being equal to, or proportion being equal to c by d, then I can write it, I can invert the numerator with denominator in both the sides and the ratio will remain same. So it is equivalent to b by a, which is going to be equal to b by c. Right, so that is invertendo. Then second is alternando. What does it mean? I have a number a by b which is equals to c by d. Then I can alternate the numerator, the denominator of first number. I can change the denominator of first number with the numerator of second number. I can exchange their position. So simply I can write down a by c is going to be equal to b by d. This you can obtain from the cross multiplication. So there is no any hurdle of doing this thing कि कैसे आया क्या आया, बस simple thing that you need to understand. Then componendo. So if I have number a by b being equal to c by d, then componendo says that you can add 1 on both the sides. And if you add 1 on both the sides and take an LCM, it becomes a by b over b is equals to c, sorry, a plus b over d, b equals to c plus d over d. Okay. So basically, if you are adding the denominator to the numerator on both the sides, the ratio remains unchanged. How do we obtain this? We obtain this by adding 1 on both the sides. Right. The next is, since we have understood componendo, let's talk about dividendo as well.
Yes, dividend.
dividend. So it's component and dividend. So if I have a number a by b equals to c by d, then what I can do is similarly like adding, I can also subtract it. So I'll subtract 1 on both the sides and I'll take the LCM. So I'll get a minus b over b equals to c minus d over d. Right. And finally, what I can do is component or dividend. So componendo dividendo is basically dividing both the equations जो हमको componendo में मिली थी और dividendo में मिली थी. So if I have a number a by b equals to c by d, then componendo dividendo is basically a plus b over a minus b being equals to c plus d over c minus d. Right. This comes directly and we can use this at a lot of places. To simplify the expressions, we can use this. Right. Then there is one more thing that I'll be discussing later on. मैं आपके साथ बाद में अच्छी तरह डिस्कस करूंगा जब हम इसके बारे एप्लीकेशन के बारे में पढ़ेंगे. But you should know about variations. So we have two types of variations that we study. A number which is directly varying with the second number. And the number which is indirectly varying. So if I say a is directly varying, that basically means a is proportional to b, and if it is indirectly varying, it means a is proportional to 1 by b. Can anyone give me some example of directly varying things which vary directly?
President temperature directly varies and president volume indirectly varies.
Very good. Pressure increases with temperature and pressure increases with decrease in volume. Right. I'll take one more example over here. Talk about money, right? The money, yes, the charges or the cost. The cost increases with labor. So if there are high labor, I have a high number of laborers or number of workers, right? I'll write down labor, instead labor, I'll write down workers. So if you have large workers, you will have large cost, right? So cost will increase with number of workers. They are directly proportional. On the other hand, the uh, time, it is inversely proportional to number of workers. So if the number of workers is increased, the time taken to complete the job will decrease, right? So time is inversely proportional to workers, right? So this is the variation that we'll be talking about when we'll talk about work and time and distance. इन सब चीजों की जब हम बात करेंगे तब हम वेरिएशंस की बात करेंगे, तब हम समझेंगे कौन से डायरेक्टली वेरिंग नंबर्स होते हैं, कौन से इनडायरेक्टली वेरिंग नंबर्स होते हैं. Now let's look into some of the simple questions to take our lead on this topic. Find new number when 240 is increased by 50%. Our quantity is first increased by 10% and then reduced by 10%. Find the net increase or decrease. This is an interesting question that we are going to solve. The third one. If 400 is increased to 440, find percentage increase. Let's solve them one by one. Yes, I'll give you 2 minutes to try, and then we'll check out the correct answers.
So first one is 360.
Okay, good.
Second is decrease of 1%, net decrease of 1%.
Okay,
And third one is 10%.
yeah. Let's see. Find the new number when 240 is increased by 50%. So we are supposed to find out the new number. इसके लिए we have seen short formula. We can do it directly also. If you are using formula, then also it is fine, right? So यहाँ पर हमने देखा था to decrease and to increase a number by given percentage, right? Over here, so this formula we have seen. We can use this one, or you can simply do it directly also. Right. So जो formula था that we can use, or we can simply do it like this. See, I'll tell you one more method that I personally prefer over any of the other method, rather than cramming up all these formulas and सबको याद रखने से अच्छा what I prefer is. So the number is 240. It is increased by 50%. 50% basically means 1 by 2. 1 by 2 is increased from what? 1. 1 by 2 is increased, and I had to add 1 into it, because so originally it was 1, and I am increasing it by 50%, that is 1 by 2. So basically it becomes 3 by 2. So I have 240 times, yes, 3 by 2. That will be my final answer. That will become 360 simply, because हमने देखा था 50% था, so 50% increase हुआ है, now it becomes 150%, right? Or 50% is equals to 1 by 2 that we have seen in the very beginning, right? Now a quantity is first increased by 10% and then reduced by 10%. You have to find net increase and decrease. ये question बहुत interesting होता है, and we oftenly say कि भाई पहले 10% increase किया फिर 10% decrease किया, so it is 0, ठीक है? But it is not 0, because the reference changes. So I'll explain it with the help of a reference. Let's say the quantity is being 100. Okay, quantity is 100. Now it is increased by 10%. So I'll find out 10%. That 10% is basically 1 by 10. Right, 10% is equals to 1 by 10. So if I'm increasing 1 by 10, so it will become 1 by 10 plus 1. That is 11 by 10. So 11 by 10 of 100. It is 110. Now I need to decrease it by 10%. So 110 ko I'll decrease by 10%. Again, 10% is 1 by 10. Right, this was about this. Now I'll decrease it. So decreasing 10% basically means you have to subtract 1 by 10. 1 by 10, 1 minus 1 by 10. So that will become 9 by 10. So to find out 9 by 10 of 110, which becomes 99. Right. So I started with a quantity which was 100. Now it becomes 99. So I need to find out percentage increase or decrease. Obviously, from 100 to 99, it is decreased. It is decreased, and it is decreased by 1 of 100. So 1 by 100 it is decreased. So 1% is the net decrease. Right. So you should be clear about this part कि अगर एक increase or decrease हो रहा है. The thing is our reference changes over here. So you have to notice the reference. First case the reference was 100. The second case the reference was 110. Right. So that should be clear. Third case 400 is increased to 440. You are supposed to find out the percentage increase. So increase in number is 40. The original number is 400 multiplied by 100. So this will become 1 by 10 into 100, or simply 10%. The final answer. Yes. Let's take another example that is not related to
Sir, 1 minute, previous slide.
Yes, sure.
Okay.
So let's take another question. This question is not much related to this ratio and proportion, but yes, you can solve this. So Gaurav is a person who scored 64, 82, and 68 marks in 3 exams. If the average of 4 exams was 73. How much did he scored in fourth exam? We are supposed to find it out. This is a pretty simple question. Try to solve this up.
So first is 78.
Okay, good. Yes, this is the second question. You have to find out the overall passing percentage. First of all, let's solve the first one. The average of 4 numbers is given. So the average is a sum of observation, that is geometric mean, the sum of observation upon number of observation. We're talking about 4 exams, but the marks of 3 exams are given. So let this marks of 4th exam be X, and the first 3 exam is 64, 822, and 68. So the sum of observation is this, number of observation is 4, and this whole is equal to 73. So I'll get 8 plus 64 plus 82 plus 68. It is equals to 73 into 4, or I'll have, this can be further solved as X plus 214 is equals to 292. On solving this, you'll get X equals to 292 by 214, which becomes X equals to 78. A simple one. Yes. Next question, you're supposed to find out the passing percentage.
So 48%.
52%, sir.
Okay, I got 2 answers. Okay, let's see how to find this. You are supposed to find out overall passing percentage. Right. So whenever such kind of question comes, first of all, you need to see. You cannot directly find out the percentage over here. Specifically, when the number of boys and girls are different. So you'll find them individually and divide it by the total number of students. So first of all, see, the question says that 60% of boys and 40% of girls failed. That basically means only 40% of boys and 60% of girls, they have passed the exam. Right. So I'll try to find out the total number of students passing the exam. So 40% of number of boys, that is 1200, plus 60% of 800 divided by total number of students that I had was 1200 plus 800, that is 2000. I'll multiply it by 100. I'll get the percentage. So 40% of 1200, it is 4 by 10, 2 by 5. You can simply do this. It will become 480 plus 60% of 800. Again, 480 divided by 2000 into 100. This becomes 960 into 100 divided by 2000. So if you cancel out 0, you will simply get 96 by 2, that is 48. So your final answer will be 48%. So So I guess the mistake that you did was to take the average or something.
Sir, actually I'm getting like failing percent 48.
Check the number of boys and girls that you have taken properly or not. Number of boys is 1200, number of girls is 800. %60 of boys failed. That basically means 40% passed. Right? So I'll take 40% of the number of boys, that is 1200. So I've taken 40% of 1200. And 60%, 40% of girls failed. That basically means 60% of girls, they passed the exam. So I've taken 60% of number of girls, that is 800. I divided by 2000. I guess we'll get this one. Just check these numbers if you have taken it properly or not. If you interchange the numbers, then you can get the different answer. Just 1 minute. Okay, so I hope you have got the answer.
Sir, can you do once by the failing percentage? I'm actually not getting it.
Let's see over here. So the percentage of students failed. Right. So see, 60% of boys failed. So 60% of 1200 plus 40% of 800, they failed. Divide by total number of students, that is 2000. Now 60% of 1200, 60 by 100 into 12, it will become 720. And 40% of 800, it will become 480. Divided by 2000. And this has to multiply by 100.
40% of 800 is 320, no?
Yes, it is 320.
Yes, 320 into 100. So you get 1040 divided by 2000 into 100. That will become 104 divided by 2 or 52%.
Yes, sir, now I got it. I found a mistake. Thank you.
The percentage of student fail is 52 and the percent of student pass is 48%, total of 100%. That is correct. Right. Now, just give me 1 minute. Yes, try to solve this one.
So 4.76.
Okay, that is one of the answer. Okay, so if the price of wheat is rises by 5%, then we have to reduce the consumption. So see, this goes for inverse proportional, right? So we talked about the proportion, we have directly variations or inverse variations. This thing is something related to inverse variation. That basically means if the price has to increase, the consumption reduces, right? In order to make the expenditure constant, right? So I don't want to expend much. If the price increases, I have to reduce my consumption, right? So this is the common thing. Now over here, the rise in price, is 5%. So 5 out of 100 is increased, right? So basically means it is now 105 by 100. That is what is it is increased, right? So or I can simply cut it by 5, so I'll get 21 by 20. This is the rise in price. Now the consumption has to be reduced. So reduction in consumption will be inverse to this, that is 20 by 21, right? And if you calculate it as percentage, you can simply multiply it by 100, so you'll get the final answer, which is
So 100 minus of this is reduction in consumption. Like 4.762.
yes, 4.76.
2 is 100 minus of this. This is the consumption.
This is a reduction in consumption. So yes, this is 100 minus this. Sorry, I didn't got you.
So reduction in consumption equals 1 minus 20 by 21 into 100.
Yeah, okay, yes. This is the actual consumption.
Yes, sir.
Consumption, that is 1 by 20 into 100, and or 21 by 20, let's keep it. And reduction will be, sorry, 20 by
The 20 by 20.
and reduction will be 1 minus 20 by 21. That becomes 1 by 21, which is nothing but 4.762%. Fine, so we'll keep it up to here for today's class, and I'll